We can rock and roll.
Go.
Okay. Good evening and welcome to the October 23rd meeting of Scituate Conservation Commission. I just have a couple of quick things to read. This meeting is being held virtual as an alternate means of public access pursuant to Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021, temporarily amending certain provisions of the open meeting law. You are hereby advised that this meeting and all communications during this meeting may be recorded by the town of Scituate in accordance with the open meeting law. And the town of Scituate, Massachusetts commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. The Scituate Conservation Commission is committed to providing an environment of respect during our meetings. We ask that all members interact in a polite manner, even when there is disagreement. We value the participation of our community and want all participants, including marginalized and minoritized communities, to feel welcome and respected. And we ask our committee members and all that participate to commit to these standards and to support and respect your community. So with that said, we have an agenda for the evening, and I don't know if anybody has any additions or.
I do.
Okay. Ms. Pipes?
I just would like to have a quick discussion at the end, just to give you guys an update on CPC.
Okay. And then I was just going to ask real quick if we at some point we could discuss requests from an applicant at Buttonwood for a minor modification to their site if we deem it appropriate. And I think that's and I'll just report in on a Mount Hope thing at Appleton Field. So okay.
I wonder, Frank, if we might quickly move the Central Ave and Country Way that are on to be continued to November. So in case anybody's on for those, that we let them know to move forward. Good
point, Richard. So both 280, 286 Central Ave, they're being, we're going to vote to continue them. And then 8 set to I guess we could just do them out of order, right? Doesn't matter.
Yeah. I'll make a motion. We continue 280 through 286 Central Ave to November 13th.
Second, Richard.
By Richard. So all in favor? Jen?
Yep.
Andy?
Yes.
And Frank, yes. That's everybody, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. And I'll make a motion. We continue 817 Country Way till November 13th.
And I'll second that too.
So that makes it pretty easy because the first line is all wiped out. So Jen?
Yep.
Andy?
Yes.
And Frank, yes. Great. Thank you. Good idea. Okay. Number 8, Westgate Lane. And we have somebody from Morse Engineering.
Yeah, so Greg is on the call, and so this is a continued hearing of from 9/25 where you guys reviewed the first version of this with the resource areas had been commented on by Art Allen, who's also on this call tonight. So there was a revised plan submitted that Greg will go through with a planting plan too, and it'll be important to listen to Art's comments, which just actually got distributed this morning.
Yeah.
So probably a good time to take everything in and consider comments and maybe give some feedback or just think about it. I'm not sure, but I'm going to put Greg on.
Okay.
Good evening. This is Greg. How are you?
Hi, Greg.
Good, Greg. How you doing tonight?
Good. Yeah, for the record, Gregory Morse, registered engineer, Morse Engineering, representing the property owner, Dina Wigmore. This is a continued notice of intent at 8 Westgate Lane. This was the raise and rebuild of a single-family home, a fairly dilapidated single-family home. The property was in disrepair. We submitted a notice of intent earlier this summer to the commission. The commission had hired Art Allen to go out and review the site. Since that time, we have revised the plan. That plan, we resubmitted our most recent set of plans on September 26th. We had located a couple of additional bordering vegetated wetland flags out at the site that Art had placed when he did the wetland review. We also located the top of a bank associated with a river at the site. We were hopeful that the river out back was an intermittent stream. However, we were unable to document 4 days of dry flow conditions. So we located the top of bank and added the 100-foot and 200-foot riverfront areas to that. You'll notice the entire site is within the 200-foot riverfront area. This site would classify as a redevelopment because it is previously degraded within that riverfront area. The project itself, we revised significantly the backyard portion of the project. We submitted in our letter documentation with the riverfront standards that the property will be a site improvement over what exists today. The proposed home is a slightly larger footprint. It's approximately 492 square feet larger in size. However, we're providing a 2.1 to 1 mitigation ratio. So we're proposing 1,050 square feet of mitigation area between the house and the riverfront. That's the area kind of on the left-hand side of the page that's shaded that you see. We had our wetland scientist, Brad Holmes, put together a mitigation plan that calls for that area to be planted out and for a post and rail fence to be installed between that mitigation area and the lawn. The leader to that fence, I think Art points out in his letter, points to the wrong side of the mitigation. It's our intent that that fence is between the rear yard and the mitigation area. That would prevent any encroachment into that area or into the resource area from what exists. Art points out in his letter also that, we are proposing some grading in that mitigation area. If you look at the contours there, you'll see that the grade in that mitigation area, we are proposing plus or minus 6 inches of grading throughout that area. That area needs to be cleaned out. It needs to be grubbed out. The area was a lawn at one point in time. It has since been significantly overgrown. It has invasives in it. That would be removed, topsoil would be placed, and then the new plantings that Brad had specified would be put in its location. This property, although it's not subject to the stormwater bylaw, we're under the 25% increase in impervious area, does propose stormwater mitigation. Again, the existing site has no stormwater on it whatsoever. We are proposing to take all of the roof leaders and connect them to a dry well system in the backyard. You see those chambers depicted on the screen. I turn it over to you for questions or comments.
Okay, thanks, Greg. Amy?
Well, do you want to hear from Art?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Good evening, Art Allen from Ecotech, peer review consultant for the commission.
Good evening, Art.
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah,
Thanks
No
Hi, Art.
problem. Glad to help. Greg did a pretty good job of summarizing my most recent comments dated today, actually. Sorry they were kind of last minute, but I think the last set of revised plans came through last Friday, so I did what I could. That being said, I believe the only thing that Greg did not mention was that this project was originally filed as buffer zone only. And then once we noted the presence of the perennial stream / river, that put the project in the riverfront area, which, as you know, is a wetland resource area, and that changes the filing fee and the kind of the status of the project. So there should be an additional filing fee submitted, and also the revised plan, I'd say probably once it's finalized, should be submitted to DEP, because again, the original project and plan submitted was for a buffer zone project. But yeah, it appears that all the my additional flags that I extended on the BVW are properly represented, as well as the mean annual high water line / bank of the perennial stream, along with the associated buffers and inner and outer riparian zones associated with the riverfront area. That all appears to be properly located on the plan. Yeah, I agree. The project has been improved with the additional mitigation area. I also agree that this is a redevelopment. This project qualifies as a redevelopment, due to the existing conditions on the site or pre-existing conditions. There's been significant mitigation added to the plan, which is definitely a bonus. Although I know that area that was potentially previously lawn, I know that's been kind of overgrown and wooded for some time. It was cleared out in the initial stages of this project, I believe, prior to filing with the commission, and the commission had some enforcement or violation associated with the project before I got involved. So I never saw it originally, but the air photos seem to indicate that it was pretty well wooded before it was recently cleared out. That being said, clearly it had been developed down, to that area where the old fence is located at the proposed clearing limits, and they are proposing some significant mitigation. I believe this project as designed now meets the redevelopment standards. It does, I agree, it does constitute an improvement over existing conditions. Obviously they still have quite a bit of work within your 50-foot no disturb setback. But I guess, I'll defer to the commission on that, because I know you allow some work, particularly, redevelopment work within that setback, and they are proposing quite a bit of mitigation. Greg summarized my, kind of minor plan revisions, changing that detail or the note on the post and rail fence barrier location, as well as, showing topsoil to restore that restoration area, if you allow the grading to be done in that area prior to restoration planting. So those things will need to be shown, in the filing fee corrected and submitted. But other than that, that's about all I have at this point. Thank you.
Wow, that's quite a bit. Thanks, Art.
Well, and Art, should we also be getting a revised NOI form?
Yeah, technically the NOI right now says buffer zone only. So if you want the record to be complete and correct, it should be at least that page on the resource area impact should be corrected and resubmitted. Yes.
Okay. Amy, do you want to comment any more on that before we go to the members?
Well, I think that's pretty comprehensive, as a matter of fact. It does appear to be a better project, I guess, in some respects, in that they're giving you a good amount of mitigation, and we have accuracy in the plans for resource areas. I think that's a great benefit. The stormwater capture, I suppose that's also good. I do get a little bit concerned about the plantings themselves and when that all goes down and how it gets maintained, because we seem to have struggled with that aspect of more than one project that I can think of. So it's really important to have that be done up front, I think, when it comes to conditioning a project like this. And then, I don't know, I guess like the riverfront redevelopment does give you this ability to, because it's technically an improvement, but the increase of disturbance within this resource area, is over 1,200 square feet additional than it was before. So I don't necessarily think that that's great, but that's about what I have right now.
Okay.
Frank, I'm confused.
So why don't you ask what you're
I'm
concerned?
confused because Greg said it was 492 additional feet and Amy said it was 1,200 additional square feet. So that's what confuses me.
Greg?
Sure. So the impervious surface of the house itself is 492 square feet. The degraded area on the site, which includes any area that's not covered by the house or the or basically an impervious surface, because we have a new driveway. So the total degraded area on the site does go up. As proposed, it goes up to 3,053 square feet. What exists there today on the site for degraded is 1,934 square feet.
I got it.
That being said, this lot predates the riverfront standards. On lots that predate the riverfront standards, you're allowed in the regulations up to 5,000 square feet. So we're coming in at 3,053.
Thank you. That helps. I appreciate it.
Do you have any other comments, Richard?
Nope, not now. Thank you.
Okay. Penny?
Yeah, I just have one question, Greg. The leaching chamber, why can't that go on the side of the house between the 50 and 100 foot instead of in the 50?
Good question.
The existing septic system is over on that side and in the front of the house, and we're reusing the existing septic. I didn't see that there was enough room to fit it.
Well,
you could break the system. You could break the system up into two systems and do half of it, where it's shown, and do the other half, I guess, over on that northern side of the house.
Penny, do you realize that that's not the septic system? The septic system is on the far
yes,
right-hand
I
side.
do.
So
I
that
do.
area is the infiltration for the ground water.
Yeah. So off of the septic, there is a 50-foot setback to any
Okay, wait a
driveway.
minute. I'm confused, but now I see it. Yeah, from the roof down spouts. I'm sorry, I didn't read the whole caption.
That's all right.
But I still just wonder, where there is that section on the north side where part of the old building was, behind, if you go behind the 100 foot towards the 50 foot, those two lines, there's an area there that maybe that could go in, but okay, I was thinking it's the leaching field to the septic.
I think there's enough room in that location. If you wanted to relocate maybe half of the leaching chambers, you could. I don't think you could get the full system over there.
Okay. All right, just a thought. That's it. Otherwise, I think you've come back with a very nice project.
Hey, Jen?
I agree with Penny. It's super appreciated how much effort's been put into this revision. I do think it would be valuable to move whatever is possible out of the 50. So if some of those leaching chambers could be moved, I think that's a win.
Okay. Andy?
Nothing additional for me. I'm good.
Okay. Do we have a hand up already in the audience? Anybody?
Yes, Jerry, you want me to let Jerry go?
Sure. And just, you want to state your name and address before you start.
Yeah, so I'm a little bit late. I just want to say my name's Jerry, and yeah, it's mediocre.
Can you give us your address and full name and address, Jerry?
Yeah, like I said, my name's Jerry, and yeah, nice project.
I bet I'm hoping for a last name and address. Okay.
Not gonna give it.
Do we have a John?
Looks like Jerry dropped off.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Is there a John?
There's a John, but he doesn't have his hand up.
Yeah, I just switched over. I saw what happened.
Okay, sorry. Anybody else? We do have a John with a
Oh,
hand.
John has his hand up.
Oh, okay. John has his hand up. I'm gonna call on John.
Hi, my name's John. Yeah, just want to say,
John, can you give us your full name and address, please?
He dropped off too.
so my name's John. I want to say
Right.
like mediocre project. I agree with what
John?
Jerry said. So
John, could you
good
please
job.
give us your full
Thank
name
you.
and address?
yeah, like I said, my name's John.
Okay, thank you.
It's a first.
Okay, who else? Huh. How do we do this?
Oh, this is interesting.
Do we have any? This is interesting.
New and different.
Yeah.
Is this gonna be the same thing?
Do we have another hand up?
I don't see any hands up. No.
Let's move.
Okay. We have a Randy.
Oh, come on.
Yes,
Is there,
Thank
Amy, is
you.
there a guideline on what we would normally do in a situation like this when it seems as though
Thank you.
individuals with one name are
With
not?
different names.
Yeah, no, we'll, looks like the person's gone away, to tell you the truth.
Great.
Okay.
Could we close this, Frank?
Well, I'd like to,
Yeah,
um,
go ahead.
do we got anybody else?
I'm thinking that we need revised info
Can-
before we're closing.
Okay.
Can I just, before you, so I did visit the site. I had noticed actually some disturbance and went out there, and they actually had started some work there before any filings. But the site was a mess. Over the years, just lots of debris and all kinds of things, animal pens and things that went right down towards the brook. But I do think this kicked off before any permit was issued. And was that addressed?
Well, so, correct, Frank, there was a couple of large trees that, one in particular, I'm thinking of, very large diameter tree that was cut down.
Mhm.
Some other trees that were cut down, before the fact, so we did send a violation notice out, and that was right before the project kicked off. So I'm not quite sure how this project addresses those additional, cuttings, I guess you could say.
Right.
Although it's apparent that this project would take that vegetation out anyhow.
Well, I mean, the site definitely needed to be cleaned up. There's no doubt about that. And the building was in disrepair, but it has shifted significantly towards the resource area than the older home did. So I guess, I mean, maybe to you, Amy, and I, do we feel like the mitigation proposed is is significant for that. It is sufficient. I'm happy to hear from Art.
Yeah, given Art Allen from Ecotech, yeah, I mean, given the layout, I mean, I don't, it's appropriate for the proposed layout, whether that layout could be changed. I mean, I might, defer back to Greg to see why, why, for a brief discussion of why why the proposed structure is where it is, as opposed to being pulled further back away from the resource area. But, if that's where it needs to be for whatever reason, I mean, I think the mitigations, is appropriate.
Okay. So what do you think you need for additional information before we close this, Amy?
Well, we're gonna need, revised plan. We're gonna need, filing fees, corrected form, submitted to the state too. And
NOI
any other
form.
comments that I might be missing that were reviewed during this discussion. And it looks like we have a hand up, Frank.
Yep. We have a Brian M. And again, if I could get a full name and address.
Just wanted to add on to what Jerry said. My
No, forget it.
Oh, this is discouraging, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I didn't know we drew such a crowd.
I'm gonna call their mother.
Oh, well,
Shame on
it
them.
was a slow night somewhere.
Yeah. Won't be when their mother hears about it.
All right.
So when should we continue this to? Greg, how long before you can
Well,
get the info?
Yeah.
If it would be possible to be on the next meeting, I can have the updated form and the updated plan, probably within a day or two. Tops.
That would be November 13th.
And fees, Greg, too.
Yeah, and fees. Yep.
Okay. So you want to give a motion, Penny, or somebody?
Wait a second. I just want to make sure. Is it November 6th?
13th.
Oh, the 13th. Okay. I'll make a motion that we continue 8 Westgate to November 13th.
Second from Jen.
Okay. Penny's made the motion. Jen's the second. All in favor, Richard
Yes.
and Andy? And Frank, yes. Great. Thank you. Thanks, Art. Thanks, Greg.
Yep, all set with me for tonight.
Yes.
Yes, thank you, Art. Have a nice
Thanks,
night.
Art. Have
All
a
right,
good
we'll
one.
talk. Bye-bye.
So 0 and 40 Crescent.
This would be open, the public hearing.
Yep. On October 23rd, 2023 at 6 p.m., the Scituate Conservation Commission will hold a wetlands hearing under Chapter 131, Section 40, the Massachusetts General Laws, and Section 30700, Town of Scituate Code of Bylaws, regarding the application of Mary Louise Pitts Bone for abbreviated notice of resource area delineation and ANRAD on properties located at 0 and 40 Crescent Ave, Scituate. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend. Information to access the virtual meetings available on the agenda posted on the town website. And do we have an applicant, anybody on for this?
We're looking for Paul Marabito, so he should raise his hand. But it could be that
I
this
saw
is
an
not
iPad.
going anywhere because this is out for peer review and the comments have not come in yet.
Okay.
So,
I did see an iPad pop up.
yeah, I see an iPad.
Can somebody let that in?
Sure.
Hi, Frank, can you hear me?
You got an iPad, Paul.
I do.
My message got back to you, huh?
Somehow, some way it did.
Well, that's great.
All right, thank you. This is Paul Maravito from Grady Consulting, representing the owner and applicant, Mary Lou's Bond. We have surveyed this property and we prepared the ANRAD plan that we submitted to you for the purposes of identifying and confirming the location of the top of Coastal Bank, as we showed on our plan. The location we show is consistent with what the commission has approved in the past. And if you note on the lower left of the hand portion of the plan, the abutting property at 56 Peggotty Beach Road, there's a note that the coastal bank shown there was approved in an order of conditions issued in May of 2021. We show that on our plan for reference, and also the fact that our line on our site is consistent with a FEMA flood zone. The FEMA flood zone is the lower portion of the property is an elevation, it's elevation 21 in the velocity zone. And all of the land above it, which is the vast majority of the lot, is in zone X, which is not a flood zone. The elevation of the velocity zone is 21. And what we've done is on our site, we have pretty much held the 21-foot contour, which was surveyed. The town of Scituate floodplain and watershed protection district is lower down on the stone revetment. That's elevation 10, which we do show on the plan, and the rear property line for this lot is mean high water at elevation 3.9. I want to point out to the commission that this site does not have a coastal beach at the bottom of the revetment because it's in the water. And one of the functions of a coastal beach is to provide sediment to the coastal beach at the lower end of the lot, which doesn't happen because there is no coastal beach. As far as storm damage protection, that would stop at the top of the coastal bank, which is the velocity zone elevation and the line of zone X. What that does is by doing that, the majority of the lot that we show on the plan, it'd be outside or above the top of the coastal bank. I am aware that a peer review person was out there today. I haven't received any comments, so, but I believe the location on our plan is correct. And it's also consistent with what the commission has approved in the past for lots on the cliffs in Scituate. It's also consistent with what you approved on the abutting lot as well. I think with that, I'll end and answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Paul. So Amy, who would you have review this?
It's already actually, it's in process. And the review engineer is Merrill.
So the applicant agreed to that and they funded it?
Yes, yep.
Okay,
So we're just waiting for the comments.
all right. Anybody? We can walk through this. Does anybody have anything to start with? You want to wait for a review?
I don't think there's much to talk about until there's a review.
Yeah,
Okay, Penny,
no,
Jen?
I want to wait.
Same.
Jen, and Andy?
Yep, good.
Okay. Amy, any idea how long that's gonna take?
I would expect we'll have the comments before the end of the week.
So then, Paul, if we have those comments, you're gonna want to review them. When do we want to continue this to?
Probably your next meeting. I think that's the 13th of November.
Yep. Do we
Okay.
have room for that? Can we do that? Yes.
Yeah, let's get these things moving.
Okay, Penny, so you need
Okay, I
to,
make a motion to continue 0 and 40 Crescent Ave, ANRAD till November 13th.
it's a motion from Penny. Do I have a second?
Second from Jen.
All in favor, Richard,
Yes.
Andy,
Yes.
and Frank, yes.
Okay.
Great.
Thank
Thanks.
you very much.
Thanks, Paul. Hey, good luck with that.
Frank, you didn't ask me for my full name and address.
Because you're pretty well known, Paul.
Okay,
Recognized your voice.
okay. Thank
And I
you.
saw, just when I saw iPad pop up and I knew you were supposed to be on there, I took a shot that it was you, but
Yeah,
I'm-
our word got back to me.
good enough. Thanks, Paul. Okay, where are we?
Opening 294 Central.
294 Central. On October 23rd, 2023, at 6 p.m., the Scituate Conservation Commission will hold a wetlands hearing under Chapter 131, Section 40 of the Massachusetts General Laws and Section 30700 Town of Scituate Code of Bylaws regarding the application of Mark and Karen Perfetti for work related to elevating and relocating and adding an addition to a family dwelling at location 294 Central Ave. Scituate, abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend. Information to access the virtual meeting is available on the agenda posted on the town website. Okay, and who do we have?
Good evening. This is Greg Morse.
Hey, Greg.
Hi. As was just stated, this is a notice of intent at 294 Central Ave.
294
The
Central.
property owner is Mark and Karen Perfetti. The proposal here is to raise the existing home, elevate it up on a new timber pile foundation, to construct a new deck around that elevated home in a very small addition. It's a 4-foot by 12-foot addition. The property being down in Hummerock is considered barrier beach. It's located within the velocity zone. It's a VE at elevation 18. The proposal here again is timber piles. Our first floor elevation would be at elevation 22, so it complies with the minimum of a 3-foot freeboard above the velocity zone elevation. This is going to have to be continued as we do not have a DEP file number yet, and the structural plans are not complete at this point. I expect them to be in any day. But I figured we'd open the hearing and get any comments so that we can hopefully address them and close this at the next hearing.
Okay. Amy?
Yes. Okay, so because this has come up before, just gonna say it, is that the existing dwelling to be raised and relocated as shown is the home is coming up and an addition is going on it, so it's not going away as opposed to RAZE where you would tear it down. Just that's kind of been something that came up recently, but I just wanted to clarify with that Greg that's his understanding of this project too. That's how it's advertised. It was how I spoke to the owner about it. This is a project that actually you conditioned a similar project here, which had been to tear the house down, but those orders were from a number of years ago, and they didn't. The owner actually never recorded them and didn't move forward. So this is why this is a new NOI for this property address.
Well, I'm reading this thing to say they want to elevate the existing home. Is that correct, Greg?
Yes, it is. Elevate the existing home.
Okay, so
And
just-
the home's also getting repositioned a little bit.
Yeah.
It is. It's getting repositioned slightly, and it's getting a 4x12 addition and a new deck around it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, good. All right. So it's great. It's going to come in on timber piles, driven piles, no footings. We want to see that. Barrier beach, coastal dune, land subject to coastal storm flowage. We've got high wave zone here. We've got moving sand sediment. Although it is a developed barrier beach, structurals will be coming in. One of the things, I guess, one point that I would have is that there's a note about existing rear foundation wall to remain and to be reinforced by stone boulders. So that is not something that we would want to see. You'd want to see that to be removed so that you get that flow of the sand, on the barrier. So you don't want to leave a wall in there to scour and into direct floodwaters. You know what I mean? So that really should come out. And otherwise, I think that's most of my comments. It doesn't look like they're touching the septic system here. Yeah, no, DP hasn't posted their comments yet on it, so we're still waiting. That's what I got.
Greg, do you want to comment on that before we move on to members?
Sure. Yeah, we're not touching the septic system at the property. There's a concrete wall that runs along the back of the existing home. We were proposing to leave that in place. I can talk to the property owner before the next meeting and see if that's if that's removable or not.
Okay. All right. Richard, this is your
Yeah,
Good.
two things. Number one, I want a clear understanding of where that house is going to be moved before it's raised, or if it's going to have to be moved before it's raised. Not a lot of room down there. And the other thing is about the wall. Yes, if you remove the wall, that's what we would normally ask for. On the other hand, what that's going to do, in my belief, would be to fill in right under the house. And I'm not sure if that's an advantage, because as soon as it fills in under the house, it's going to go right across the street. And there's been a lot of experience about that down here. So I think I know what the rules are. I'm just saying we need to know the consequences as well.
Okay. Penny?
Yeah, I hear what Richard's saying. What about just putting some boulders there in the actual wall coming down?
All sorts of
That'd be
possibilities.
better.
It's not going to stop the water from going by the boulders.
No, but it
And I
might-
understand why the wall's there.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah,
I'm just
yeah.
saying there's a consequence for that.
Yeah, yeah. No, I don't want them to have a consequence. I don't want the sand going across the street. I want it to stay over there. I find that very interesting because I was gonna question the same thing. But moving on, Frank, from me.
Jen?
I think I'm good for now. I appreciate Richard's local commentary on it. It's good to understand that as well.
Thank you. Andy?
That's all for me.
Okay. Do we have anybody in the audience? I guess we have allowed Amy in some cases, some places to keep, if the grade changes are such that when they remove that, it creates some issues. I know that they don't want any obstructions or anything to stop the free flow of water, but sometimes in these sites, when they've already been altered, we've allowed at least some form of a foundation or stone to remain.
Yeah.
I don't know. Where's the existing leaching? Is it a leaching pit?
It's just a cesspool in the front right corner of the house.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, perhaps we can take a look at this because we've got a site diagonally across the street that we need to be checking out.
Oh, yes. Right.
Mm.
It would be good to try to take a look at a couple of those. Okay.
Yeah, it really is right across the street. It would be a very good thing to do.
Okay. All right. So how long do we want to continue?
If we could continue this 2 weeks, that would be great. If you have the room on your agenda.
Jen, what do you think? Okay. Amy?
I think whatever Jen's look was, that's what you should go with.
I'm quite sure she mouthed Amy.
Well, she has the book with the tally.
Uh.
So if the tally is more than 6, then it's starting to get pretty big because we have we've got the opening of the big wastewater treatment plant or water treatment plant site. It's just
Let's not call it a wastewater treatment site.
Yeah, please.
you know what I'm talking about, the water treatment plant, sorry. So it,
All right, December,
could-
we want to
it
move
could
this
be
to
there.
do it till December 4th. Okay, yeah, because we only have one meeting in November with Thanksgiving and all that. So December 4th.
Okay. I'll
Penny,
make a motion to continue 294 Central Ave to December 4th.
That's Penny, a second from anybody?
Second from Jen.
Thank you, Jen. All in favor, Richard,
Yes.
Andy, and Frank, yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
809 Country Way. On October 23rd, 2023, during the 6 p.m. meeting, the Scituate Conservation Commission will act on the request of Kate Connolly for determination of applicability of the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and the Scituate Wetlands Bylaws for activity related to septic repair of a single-family dwelling at 809 Country Way, Scituate. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend. Information to access the meeting will be available on the agenda posted on the town website.
Good evening. This is Greg Morse.
Greg,
Hi. This is a request for determination of applicability, 809 Country Way. The applicant, Kate Connolly, is proposing to upgrade the septic system at this property. This is approximately a half-acre site. It's entirely upland area. However, across the street and behind the house that's across the street is the Bound Brook. And the 200-foot riverfront area for that Bound Brook extends onto the front portion of this property. The existing property is developed with a commercial building and a commercial parking lot in the front yard. The proposal here is to construct a new septic system in the front yard. It would go in an area that's existing parking lot. It would be restored as grassed surface once the new septic system is in. It is a 9-bedroom septic system that is going in. The building itself is undergoing interior renovations into a 9-bedroom group home for adults with developmental disabilities. As a septic system repair, we feel that the project is exempt from the standards under the Riverfront 10.58. And between our property and the river itself is Country Way, another existing home in a vegetated buffer. We do have erosion controls along the side lot line, along Country Way, and where the proposed septic is going, there's a pretty significant stone retaining wall there, which would contain any sediment within the site itself. Turn it over to you.
okay. Penny, this is in your neighborhood.
Yeah, I'm trying to, it needs the septic. I mean, no, I don't have any problem with it.
Jen,
No, I don't think I have anything. Sounds like a great building to reuse. So excited to see it.
okay. Andy,
No, I do not have any questions.
okay.
I know.
Richard,
No, I don't have any questions either.
Amy, I jumped right over you. Any other thoughts or?
Well, okay, just a couple of things. One is, you know, we're not agreeing necessarily to this resource area line, but given what we know about this area and the resource area, and
Yeah,
I would agree that this is a -3.
yeah,
So, although it is under Board of Health for review still, so the plan could change, but I don't see any reason why you can't give it a negative finding this evening.
no.
Do we have anybody in the audience on this one? Okay.
Seeing none.
Greg, does the parking go back over this? Or does this get grassed, or how does that work?
So it gets grassed over when this is all done. The resultant, I think we're left with an 11 space parking lot remaining with the building.
Okay.
None of the individuals that will be living in this building drive. So
Right. Okay. Do we have any? We don't have anybody in the audience on this one.
No.
Okay,
Can I make a motion?
you certainly can.
I make a motion for a -3.
Can I have a second?
Second from Jen.
Okay, all in favor, Richard,
Yes.
Andy,
Yes.
and Frank, yes. Great, thanks, Greg.
thank you.
Have a good night.
You too.
What else do we have on now?
Did you take a look at your meeting dates for 2024?
Yeah,
And you could vote on those tentative dates.
Well, I didn't look at them, but I'm sure they'll work out.
Either work out or they get
Right.
adjusted.
okay, so I'll make a motion. We accept the meeting dates for 2024.
Second.
Second. Oh,
That was
Y-
second.
Rich.
And
Yes.
Yes.
and Frank, yeah.
One of them, this 57 Garrison, was the pool house up on Walnut Hill. Do you remember that one?
Oh,
Mhm.
wow.
So that's
Okay.
in with a C of C, and so I don't see a reason why we shouldn't be able to issue that one after review of the as-built and the conditions. And then there was also a request for a group of these new builds, or they were tearing me down on the Glades 83, 83R, 87. And this one, it's a little more complicated in that the conditions for these properties did say some of the work hasn't been done, although I think it's specifically 83 has those conditions associated with the property, but the work that isn't done is physically not on that lot. So we might be able to let that one go unless you want to still kind of keep them together, because it was the same developer that developed all three. So you reviewed them and tied them all together. So that was the discussion there.
So on that one, Amy, are there were there were separate orders for that property, right? And the plantings were for the other site?
Right. Well, so 83R really had where the plantings were. And also there was roof drains to go into some infiltrators. And so those are on the plans. They're not on I'm not sure whether or not they went in. But the growing seasons haven't gone by for the rear property. So I don't think it's really, I mean, you could consider partials for these if they were pressing, but I think it's really just 83 that's looking to move. Greg is on the call still, so maybe he can shed some light on this, but
Okay.
I think that there is a pending sale for the one address.
Is Greg, are you still there?
Yes.
You want to elaborate?
Sure. So these three properties had separate orders of conditions written to them. 83 is the one that has a sale happening imminently. 83 has already been conveyed. The original developer conveyed it to the property owner that's in there now. And so this is the second conveyance of number 83. 83 included a condition in its order of conditions that said that a 10-foot planting buffer was required against the edge of the salt marsh. 83 doesn't abut the salt marsh. 83R abuts the salt marsh. Those plantings have been done. We've submitted pictures of those last spring, but we haven't documented, 2 years of growing season. But 83, I believe that condition was really intended to be on the 83R order of conditions. The owner of 83 has no rights to go on the land of 83R to fulfill that obligation. But I can tell you the plantings have been done. It's just that you don't have the 2 years of planting witnessing at this point. So if 83R, if you wanted to hold that, I would certainly understand that. But number 83 itself, all work that's physically on the property of number 83 that was required has been done.
Okay.
My challenge with 83 is, and I'm not sure how it gets addressed, is that there's been additional work done to the site that wasn't on the plan in terms of fences, patios, raised generators, etc.
Aha.
And I made it sound like a theme park has been built. It is not. It's a very small area. It's just very full. So it's they've done a nice job. It's just none of it's covered by was run through the commission.
Greg, do you have that info on an as-built or?
I do have the as-built plan. We submitted the as-built plan last March to the Conservation Commission.
Maybe they did this after.
I wasn't aware of that being the issue. It's the first I've heard of it.
Yeah, if you pull up the recent real estate listing, you can see all the good stuff.
Yeah, I mean our as-built does show the generator location. It shows the patio that's on there. It looks like. I don't have a copy of the design plan with me, unfortunately, so I don't know what was depicted on the design plan at the moment.
I'm looking at one from February, and it just shows 2 sets of stairs.
Yeah.
So, Amy, I'm not sure how you would resolve that.
Well, there's various approaches that you've taken to resolve work done after, additional work that wasn't part of the original scope. One would be to, ask them to take it away, or another would be to file, or otherwise accept those changes as minor. In this case, I mean, if it's a pervious patio is probably considered minor. Fence that's not obstructing flow would be also something that would even be something we would give an administrative permit for frequently, depending on the location.
Might be worth you looking at, Amy, at least the real estate pictures, just to see. I know we've talked a lot about fences recently and drawn, a harder line on those things.
Greg, was the patio conditioned?
I don't have the design plan with me. I don't recall, Frank.
Okay. So this property is already sold and now it's being resold. Did we give a partial on this before, or did they just didn't worry about it?
No, they just passed without anything.
And
Wow.
Greg, is this still holding up a sale?
I think they conveyed Friday of last week, and there's an escrow till this gets resolved.
Okay. Well, maybe we should take a look at that to see if we can, before we close this out. If there's some changes that either can be dealt with as a minor modification or amended, I think that probably ought to get dealt with, huh?
Certainly. I'm glad we're discussing this one.
Yeah, I'm looking at the design plan. It doesn't show a patio or fences, but so I
Yeah.
think that that's really probably what we're looking at.
Do we
Okay.
think that the same is possible for those other sites, Jen or Amy or Greg?
Yes,
Yeah, I can do a full review of the design versus the as-built with Amy.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
so we're gonna hold right now.
We need
Yeah.
to hold.
Yep.
Okay,
Okay. Thank you. And then order conditions, do we want to vote some of these?
okay. I read them, but I wasn't at the last meeting, but unless somebody that was at the meeting has a problem with.
Are you familiar with everything? Are you do you feel like you're familiar with the site and the orders?
Yes,
Then you can go ahead and make the,
okay. I make a motion, we accept the orders of condition for 74 and 74C Glades Road, 74B Glades Road, 49 Seaside. Those are full orders.
Yeah.
As written, and 42 Brunswick Street was an amendment to the orders. I make a motion, we accept them all as written.
okay, that's a motion from Penny. We have a second.
Second from Jen.
All in favor, Richard
Yes.
and Andy?
Yes.
Okay, and Frank, yes. Great, thanks, Penny.
Okay,
What else do we have?
I just wanted to, on CPC,
Oh, yeah,
okay, we met last week and, the projects, all our projects up the West End have come to a conclusion. A great conclusion, actually. The access and the parking lots, Damon included, in the picnic areas. And, unless something major comes up between now and town meeting, we will be rescinding from those projects. There's 3 different pots and there's different amounts from each pot that Nancy has. It is a total of $139,000. And what was taken from open space will go back into open space. I believe some of the money was taken from the general fund, which will have to go back to general fund, but they'll be up to Nancy to distribute that. So those projects in the end, it came in great, that new company we had do the Damon access and so forth, and it really made a huge difference. So anyways, I just wanted to let the board know that
Yeah.
we will be rescinding money.
we're not quite ready to vote the actual amount though yet, I don't think, right? We need to,
I think Nancy had one more outstanding thing she was waiting for, but the figure I got from her at this moment was $139,000.
well, let's wait before we vote it, but I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
that was, I mean, we've discussed this a little bit before, but we can't use the money for anything it wasn't voted
No.
for, and I
Yeah.
think we've gotten about everything done that we can, and the good news is the money we saved at Damon and the lower bids
Yeah.
kind of helped
on
out
picnic areas and so forth.
after lots of starts and stops. It did go pretty well. It's too bad we just can't roll it into another project. But one of the things we had talked about was if we have another project, in some ways it would be nice to return this money and say, well, here's your money back, but we would like some more money.
Well, that's the whole thing. I mean, it's crazy to just let it sit there. Okay.
No, we don't want it encumbered. That's for sure.
Yeah, right. And
Just-
so we've been good stewards. We did our homework. Frank did a lot of homework on this pricing and so forth. So now, you know, we'll be able to get more money for the next project we come up with.
Well, that would be good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get all the numbers squared away, but thanks
Yeah.
for keeping them apprised.
Okay.
And I think everybody's pretty much heard the on Mordecai Lincoln. Penny's been trying to move this project along for quite some time, and the good news is the property's been acquired. Like every other frustration we've felt, Andy trying to get stuff for Appleton, myself trying to get monies for different projects. Everybody's just so busy, and the historic commission trying to figure out what they're going to do has found it difficult as well. So what the select board decided was that they'd rather not have anything move forward up there until there's a pretty concise plan for the whole property. And so unfortunately that means our parking and trails
We're on hold.
are on hold. I think it's probably prudent, given that if they have to do a septic system or some other thing, but I know that doesn't sit well with all of our members. But it'll get there. That means you just have to stay a member a little longer, Penny. That's all.
I guess so. Well, one good thing is that when I was down at Morse's last, I was told that if the septic has to go under where the parking lot's gonna go, they said, that's fine. We do septics now underneath parking areas.
Right, but we don't want to build the parking and then put the septic under it.
No, exactly. But to be honest, I think I would prefer it there than out in the field.
Right,
But I don't know. We'll see what happens. No, that's the first step. A
okay.
septic has to be put in, and then maybe they'll let me go forward after that's done. We'll
Okay.
see.
All right. Well, I'm glad you're okay with that.
Well, I'm not, but I take a deep breath, and we have to pick our battles as
Right.
this goes, right?
Yep. We had a little event up at the Mount Hope building not this past weekend, the weekend before, and we did some hay rides, and we went out into Appleton Field
Oh, fun.
and went around, and a lot of people, it was their first time to see that, and they were wondering what we were doing with the fencing out there. And I said they all ought to think about a garden.
Yeah. Next
And
year.
but what was amazing is how fast that field is growing up. It's really taken off, and the good news is getting that money's appropriated the other night at town meeting. That was voted in, so we have funds now available to do some of this maintenance work. And maybe at some point we can talk about the best way to get that and Border Street mowed in a ecological. So Andy, if you got some thoughts on timing and what we should think about, it'd be appreciated.
Yeah, that sounds
Oh,
great.
goats.
No,
Yeah,
Andy, how about a mower?
No goats. No
And
goats.
some of that barberry and stuff, you might want some goats to take a cut at that first, but
Yeah, right.
once we get it, maybe the mower will work.
It's high, and everybody had to keep their hands in on the trailer, the hayride, not to get shredded by all the the thorns and stuff that are now 8 and 10 feet in the
Oh,
air.
with all the rain this summer, everything grew out of control.
But Andy, refresh my memory. We have money still appropriated, right? We're not talking about turning back the money that
No.
we have for that improvement.
No,
but we got to find somebody willing to talk to us or two about a well. That's
Yeah.
that's what
That's
we
part
need.
of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, maybe we can refresh that. Maybe as things are starting to turn a little bit, maybe we'll have some better luck. I mean, it took all that you could do to get people out there to even look at the job, let alone do it.
Yeah,
So
things have changed a bit, so maybe there's more eager bidders.
yeah, but the number of folks that we're bumping into and walking and stuff like that are we're just getting favorable responses everywhere. I sent you out an email that popped in while I was
Yeah.
looking at my emails about the unfortunately the Higgins McAllister Bridge took another hit. A big limb came down on it, but we'll see if we can get somebody to get that repaired. But the good news is with the funds that we have, I did ask if maybe Paul Scott, who's been helping us with the engineering, could help us write some stuff up so we could get Bates Lane regraded and a couple of the other roads. The folks at Ellis are hopeful that we'll help them some with that access road. So try to put some kind of package together that we can go out and do that. Whether we get it done before the weather really turns, I don't know. But
Did he get back to you?
I haven't talked to him yet, Penny.
All right, I'll stop by again.
Oh, I haven't been around much, so he might have. Paul usually tries to hunt me down, and I've been
Yeah, he
hard
tries
to
to
find.
hunt you down, I know. But I'll just make sure.
I'll build a fire and maybe we can find each other.
There you go.
And then yeah, I think that's it for me tonight. Anybody else have anything they want to?
Oh,
Not from nothing.
All good.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, save your energy for the next meeting because it's gonna be longer than this, I think, folks.
Well, when we discuss the sewer treatment plant.
Oh, God.
There. Yeah, yeah.
All right.
Okay.
I'll take a
make
motion.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second from Jen. All in favor, Richard,
Yes,
Andy,
Yes.
and Frank. Yes. Thanks so much. Have a good night.
you
Yep,
too. Take
You
care.
too.
Take
That
care
was
all.
kind